You finished something today. Maybe you hit a number, got the likes, got the followers, got the views, and then you sat there and felt nothing. Not ungrateful, not depressed, just empty. Like the thing you worked for didn't actually fill the space you thought it would. Here's why. Your brain releases dopamine in anticipation of a reward, not after it. The moment you get the thing, the dopamine is already gone. You were living for the chase. And the internet figured that out before you did. But that world you built when nobody was watching, when there was no number attached to it, that one felt real because you weren't chasing anything. You were just there. The first time you died in Minecraft, you probably panicked. You lost your stuff. You didn't know where you were. You ran around screaming in your head, trying to find your way back. And then you respawned, and you did it again. Nobody told you what that was teaching you. Nobody sat you down and explained it. It just happened thousands of times, quietly, in the background of what you thought was just a game. But here's what I think was actually going on. We live in a culture that is absolutely terrified of failure, like genuinely, diagnosably terrified. There's a whole psychological term for it, adicophobia, fear of failure, and studies keep showing it's getting worse in younger generations, not better. Kids today are more anxious, more perfectionistic, more paralyzed by the idea of doing something wrong than any generation measured before them. And I find that interesting because a huge percentage of those same kids, us, grew up spending thousands of hours in a game where dying is just Tuesday, where you dig too deep and fall into lava and lose an hour of work, and the game just goes and that's it. No cutscene, no big dramatic moment. You just wake up at your bed and the sun is coming up and the world kept moving. So what happened? Why didn't it stick? I think the answer is more complicated and more interesting than you'd expect. Here's a philosopher named Albert Camus. Bear with me for a second. Camus had this idea called the absurd. The basic version is this: humans desperately want life to have clear meaning and purpose, but the universe just doesn't provide that. It's silent. It doesn't answer back. And his argument was, the worst thing you can do is pretend that tension doesn't exist. The best thing you can do is look at it directly and choose to keep going anyway. He called this the absurd hero, someone who knows the boulder is going to roll back down the hill and pushes it anyway. Now think about Minecraft. There is no win condition. Did you know that? Like, officially, there's an ender dragon you can kill. But the game literally ends with a poem that tells you it doesn't matter. The credits roll and you're sent back to your world, back to building, back to dying and respawning and losing things and building again. Camus would have loved Minecraft because what the game trained you to do, what it drilled into you across thousands of hours during some of the most formative years of your brain's development, was to keep going without a promised reward. You built things that would never be seen. You mined for hours for materials you'd lose. You died. You came back. You didn't quit. That's not nothing. That's actually one of the hardest psychological skills a human being can develop. Think about how many times you lost everything in Minecraft. Lava, creepers, falling into the void, getting hopelessly lost. Somehow every Minecraft player has a story about losing everything, and yet most of us logged back in the next day. That's a surprisingly difficult skill in real life. To lose progress, to fail, to feel defeated, and keep going anyway. So why are we still anxious? Why didn't it transfer? I think about this a lot, and my answer is that the internet broke the lesson. When Minecraft was new, it was private. You played alone or with a couple friends on a server nobody else could see. Your failures were yours. Your weird dirt house that took you 6 hours was yours. Nobody was watching. And then, gradually then all at once, that changed. Suddenly there were YouTube videos with perfect bases, perfectly optimized farms, speedruns, tutorials, a right way to do everything, and something shifted. The game that once rewarded exploration started rewarding performance. You stopped playing to discover and started playing to have something worth showing. And that's the exact same trap that exists everywhere else in life. Social media, school, careers. You stopped tolerating failure because failure became visible. The respawn mechanic didn't change, but the stakes did. Here's what I think got lost. There was a version of you, probably somewhere between 8 and 12 years old, who played this game in the dark, with headphones on, and built something completely useless and felt genuinely proud of it. For me, that was a creative world I started when I was around 10 years old. I spent years in that world, not building mega bases, not making anything impressive, just building whatever came into my head. A claw machine, a quick trip, some terrible attempt at becoming the Flash using command blocks I barely understood. Every week it was something different. If I thought of it, I tried to build it, and I loved that world. Looking back, I probably spent hundreds, maybe thousands of hours there creating things that had absolutely no purpose beyond the fact that I wanted them to exist. Nobody was going to see them, nobody was going to rate them, nobody was going to subscribe because of them. I wasn't building for an audience, I was building because building felt good. Eventually I got a new computer, the world never got transferred over, and one day I realized I would probably never see it again, which sounds ridiculous. It's just a Minecraft world, but honestly, part of me still wishes I could walk through it one more time, not because the builds were good, they probably weren't, but because that world reminds me of something I've forgotten a few times since then. The value was never in what I made, the value was in making it. Somewhere between childhood and adulthood, a lot of us started treating every hobby like a performance, every creation like a product, every effort like it needed a reward. But that kid building random nonsense in creative mode didn't care about any of that, and somehow he was happier. That kid knew something you've maybe forgotten, that the point was never the thing you built, it was the building. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that playing more Minecraft will fix your anxiety. That's not the point. The point is that somewhere in your history, in those hours you probably don't even fully remember, you practiced something real. You practiced starting over. You practiced losing things. You practiced caring about something that had no guaranteed outcome. Camus said we must imagine Sisyphus happy. I think we have to imagine the Minecraft player happy too. Not the one chasing the perfect world, not the one with 50,000 subscribers showing off their mega base, the one in creative mode at midnight building something nobody will ever see just because they wanted to. Somewhere in the last 10 years, a lot of us forgot how to do things for the feeling instead of the footage. Maybe that's what Minecraft was actually trying to teach us. Maybe we just weren't ready to hear it yet. If this hit something for you, I'd genuinely like to know what. Drop it in the comments, not just good video, tell me what it hit. Because I think there are a lot of us who feel something about this game that we don't quite have words for yet, and maybe that's what this channel is for.